There we go.
Hello.
Okay, we're doing things.
We're here. We're here. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe, episode 7, or season 7, season 7, episode 22. Oh, there we are.
Oh my god.
I just was waiting for that.
Okay.
I don't know if YouTube is working, but if you're following us on all the other ones, touche, hello,
and
thank
do
you.
not adjust your televisions. This is what we look like.
My name is Dolores, and I buy everything with a coupon, including my shaving cream, which if you can hear that, we got really good sound.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. I am not in face either. I don't have a shred of makeup on. I'm sorry, but it's the way it is tonight. I am frazzled like nobody's business, and I have so much other shit. I couldn't. So this is what you get tonight. Sorry.
So what I was trying to do, I was trying to be domesticated, and usually I could do this pretty well, like get dinner cooked and then get the show ready, because usually I can do this, but tonight I made tacos, and I didn't realize there were so many intricate parts to making tacos, how I like to make tacos.
And you didn't even make tacos, like, you didn't even make the shells, you just got the shells.
I know, like, I didn't realize
you made, like, cheat tacos.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I don't make the shells ever, because I tried that once, and,
I'll show you how.
Yeah, I just don't like frying things and burning myself.
Yeah.
I mean, as non-black as that sounds, I do like fried chicken, but I do not like fried chicken that much that I would do it like every week or something, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, no, I get you.
So it's your Wednesday night conversation, and for more than 6 years, you've been putting up with us and talking about more.
We've been putting up with this. All of this right here.
At least I'm ready on time.
That's what we need to do. Just never actually have a face on, and then
just stop having faces.
Yeah.
It's the issues that matter most to you, and tonight we're talking about politics, so it's definitely issues that matter most to you.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe. We're streaming live on Let's Have a Fefe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Be sure to share this episode as we get started. Share it with everybody. And if there are Trump supporters,
yes, definitely.
I need you to, if you are in an area where you know that, like, your next door neighbor is a Trump supporter. I mean, if your neighbor is a Trump supporter and on your Facebook, you must keep them around for good entertainment or something. We're brought to you by Shelly Love Creative at ShellyLoveCreative.com, WigsOfAkind.com. This green doll came in the mail just the other day.
It's pretty fantastic. It really is.
It is, and it's
very green.
It looks bigger than it feels, and that's a very good thing. Let me just say that. Like, it's not heavy. It's not.
It's plenty big, although not quite big enough. You can still see my face in the pictures.
Marissa, I need about like this.
She
wants, how you can't fit it in the like screen right here. Like I will even pay extra for this.
She wants a gigantic fucking wig.
Like, just huge. Just walk around and I wouldn't even. I don't know.
Right. And at some point, Michael is gonna have one of the big, like, full mohawks, like the braid down the back, like the full mohawk that comes like down this way. That, you know, like, yeah.
We can rock the wigs. Yeah. WigsOfAkind.com. And did I say the Burly Barber? The Burly Barber is that.
I'm gonna go get my hair cut on Saturday. I'm gonna have the whole 9 yards.
Take a picture while you're there.
I know. I always forget to fucking do that. I'm gonna have the whole 9 yards. My hair's gonna get cut. They're gonna trim this all up. No, it's not gonna go. They're just gonna trim it because it's all different lengths right now. So it's gonna get trimmed so I look nice and clean and fancy, and you know I gotta look good next week.
What's next week? Let's not. And we couldn't do it without the support of our Patreon supporters, Joan Bish, and then Leon Dunton.
Good job.
Oh my
Way
God.
to go.
Wow.
Look at that.
Maybe it's because they don't have makeup on.
Maybe.
It didn't get in my mouth.
Maybe that's what it is.
Allison Gillian. Corey and Carrie McClemens. Brandon McGill and Casey Starr. Join the Fefe movement and support us today at patreon.com/Let's Have A Fefe. And we do have plans. We plan on taking as much time as we can because both of us have like this weird adjustment in life happening.
Yeah, it's a weird.
It's like a weird
something. There's something.
Is the retrograde happening?
I think
still?
Mercury is in retrograde, and I think that's part of the problem.
I need Mercury to go sit down so I can.
There's a lot of sort of weird transitioning things happening right now, and
I mean, I still haven't moved in here, and it's driving me absolutely bonkers because I know exactly where I want things to go, but then when I come in here, and when I start putting stuff away in the living room, like.
And my brain's been on pageant mode for the last few months, and now I'm hardcore. I can't even think about anything right now. So, yeah. So, okay, real quick, what do we do this weekend?
So we had the cat bingo. I wore this
on Friday. St. Patrick's Day is always so much fun. I don't know. Yeah, I don't do anything for St. Patrick's Day. So last year and this year, cat bingo was my St. Patrick's Day. That was it.
And they were fun.
It was fun.
They're fun all the time, but.
No, it was.
The alcohol was swirling.
Yeah.
The alcohol. Yes, it's still in retrograde until the 28th.
Of course, it comes out the 28th. It'll come out of retrograde when I start competing. Fuck! That means the whole universe is gonna be all like bleh. Awesome.
And then on Saturday, I don't remember anything.
I was in Barbara Seville's show on Saturday.
How did that go?
It was good. It was fun. There were a couple of birthday parties and a couple of bachelorettes in the house. God. But what sucked is by I think it was even by the second set, they were all just fucking wasted, and not the good tipping kind of wasted. Oh, they were all just like this.
Oh
no, not even that. It was mostly this.
Oh, were they older?
No.
They were young?
Yeah. But it was good. The rest of the crowd was awesome. It was a good time. I was there with Jeremiah Daniels. I feel like I'm very far away. I was there with Jeremiah Daniels and Naomi St. James. So it was a good time. It was fun. Mm-hmm. It was good. I know that Jeremiah managed to get some more dollars in his bucket for Pride, which was good. So yeah, it was good. And then Sunday was my last rehearsal before Nationals. Last full rehearsal before Nationals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This week hasn't been shitty for me. It's just been kind of shifty.
This hasn't been the last week and a half have not been awesome for me for various reasons. But
I will tell you, you can tell when things are up with me because when we do the show in May, I want to finish out the season, but not because of the reasons you might think. Is that good? I was waiting for you to open it. It says keto coffee. That's the first thing.
Well, right, because it's so. For those of you.
Oh, for those that were at Cat Bingo, they want us to start a mukbang channel.
Oh God.
So maybe this is a preview,
right?
If you haven't seen us eat.
So
before.
I've been drinking the Bang energy drinks because they're keto friendly, which I'm not keto, but it means that they're sugar free, they're carb free,
they're lighter.
They don't make me feel all weird and jittery. So I've been drinking those, and I decided I was gonna try one of the coffee. I'm not sure. You want to taste it? I don't know.
It's like, okay, this is what it tastes like. So, all at once, in your mouth, you get coffee, which has a strong taste in the first place, and then the cookies and cream slap you in the back of the head at the same time. So you're like, oh, coffee, oh, cookies, cream, oh. So it's kind of weird flavors that
I'm not sure.
It tastes like ice cream in your coffee.
Mm.
You both have the flu. I wonder how you both got the flu. Just kidding. Kissing buddies.
It's been going around.
Keep it away.
My teammate, my Sash wife, Dita, is currently sick right now. I was at...
Are you taking all of the things?
I'm taking all of the things. I was at the ER with her last night until almost 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's part of your problem.
But, that's one of the reasons why I'm out of it today. I'm exhausted. But, they actually said that my chances of contracting the flu this year are slim because I had both A and B last year. So, oh.
Oh,
Also, I've decided I'm going to be a doctor. I'm not actually going to go to school. I'm just going to be a doctor because when we took Dita in, I was telling her, because she was describing her symptoms, and I was like, okay, they're going to do this, 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 and this. And
kind of like, I don't even call support anymore, like
right.
IT support.
Right.
I just go, okay, they're going to tell me to turn it on, turn it off, disconnect, reconnect, and then do such and such, and then I'm going to call them. They're going to say, did you do this? Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they did every single thing that I said they were going to do. Because
did they check her blood pressure, poke and prod?
Oh, yeah, all the things. All the things that I said. I said, with your symptoms, this is what they're going to do to rule this out, and this out. And sure enough, yes, they did. Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. If any of you have ever been swabbed for the flu, it is if you've never been swabbed for the flu, it is the worst fucking feeling in the world. Do you know how they do it?
Wow.
So, when you get like a throat swab for like strep, right? They kind of stick a thing in there, they get ear. To swab for the flu, the only place the virus lives is way the fuck up in your nasal cavity.
Oh my god.
So they literally have, it's about this long, and there's like a Q-tip at the end, and they literally shove it all the way up, and they're swabbing like way the fuck up here in your nasal cavity. Like, it is way back there. It is the most uncomfortable test I have ever had. It's like they sit there and it's like swirling a Q-tip around in your brain. It is painful, it is uncomfortable, and it's fucking awful.
When I'm sick, never to do this.
So, just, yeah. So, alright, so
Can't
tonight...
hear you because I'm in the car, but okay, I'm here.
Thanks.
Hi! We'll just wave since you can't hear us.
Alright, so tonight we're going to do things a little bit differently. We said that we're going to start looking at some of the potential candidates...
Out of order now.
It's okay.
My bad.
Some of the potential candidates for the 2020 election. And we'll take, a couple here and there, up until,
We have plenty of time.
Right, we have...
Even between our seasons.
So because we have to make sure we get everybody done before primaries so that, and as, more things come out, we'll be able to dig up more information. But, so what we're going to do is
My first question is, can Barack Obama come back?
Yes, Michelle needs to run for president, and then he can run for vice president.
That's what... Oh, my God. That's what I was saying.
And then that would be fine with me.
So if that ever happens, I want Oprah to be Secretary of State.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
This country would be fixed in, 2 weeks.
Oh, my God. Jesus. Could you imagine Oprah as Secretary of State?
Fuck.
You know how she's like, no, you're going to do this over here, you're going to do this over here, and you're going to get this done.
Right.
I could just picture her in the office and saying, that was the first week, so what is there to do now?
Right. Yeah.
Hi.
So tonight we're gonna take a gander at
Which one do you want to do first?
Because
I set up these.
Let's
images.
do Beto. So
you want to talk about him a little bit while I have him on the screen?
So Beto actually ran for a Senate seat. This last election, in Texas, and everybody was all about him because he's young, he's kind of cute, he seems to be kind of progressive.
Sexy. He kind of has that Barack Obama feel,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So people were all about him. He did not win, however. Everybody thought that he was going to. Everybody kind of predicted,
including himself. He talks about it. I listened to Oprah's podcast. I'm sorry. She has a lot of good guests on there that are not people that you see on TV every day, I guess. I don't know how to describe them. But he was on there and he was talking about how he himself was really disappointed because he wrote on social media for the first time in 20 years he's been unemployed, and he didn't he was kind of I guess we can go back to us.
Mm-hmm.
But he was still kind of mystified, I guess,
right.
about how he is it Beto or Beto? Beto. I say Beto. I don't know if that's because.
I mean, if you're gonna say it the correct pronunciation, it would be it's
Beto?
Right. It's like Beto. But it's Beto. So that's what.
Oh, come on. That door is very hard.
Push hard. Push.
Ah!
Almost went into me.
Jesus
Oh, well,
Christ.
that's what most people say.
They were
Thank you.
out of the small ice cream cone, so we got you a large one.
Thank
or
you.
a medium one.
Thank you. Oh my. Wow.
All right, let's go.
That's really big.
Tell the peoples hi.
You want to go in there, I know.
Hi.
So,
Pull it hard.
Max, come on.
it's definitely not Beto. It's definitely not Beto. He calls himself something about his childhood. He grew up with a lot of, I believe, Hispanic friends. He's not Hispanic. He's not Hispanic at all. His last name is O'Rourke. Okay, he's fucking Irish. He's he's not Hispanic. And a lot of people were actually bent about that. They're like, he calls himself Beto, but he's not Hispanic.
I won't tell you. I've had Hispanic friends, and they come up with nicknames, and you don't ever deny them.
Oh, yeah. You know, so it is what it is. That is who he is. So he didn't win in Texas, and then there was buzz for, like, almost as soon as he lost, there was buzz that people wanted him to run in 2020. Now, oh, fuck me.
No, nothing.
Now,
there's like a bandana over there.
Mind you, he's very new to kind of all of this. Like, he's not...
He's been involved in it. I would say he's more involved than Donald Trump has ever been.
Wow. Because Donald Trump can't find anything better to do except bash McCain 7 months after he's dead, so...
He's still bashing dead people?
Yeah, he has nothing better to do. Today it was, I even gave him the funeral he wanted with no thank you. Right. So, anyway. So.
How is this guy still president? Why do people support this?
I don't fucking, who the fuck knows at this point. So, okay. This is a really big ice cream cone. Do you want some of my ice cream?
No, I got my own.
Do you want some more?
No.
I won't be able to eat this whole thing.
I mean, people are enjoying you watch.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. So, so first up on the chopping block, we're going to talk about Beto. Can you go over? Hang on. We got this. Okay, so he, when he ran for Senate,
we're reading from the Daily Dot?
Or something. Yeah. But I looked and this was actually fairly accurate, good stuff. So, so he ran as a Democrat in Texas, which that already was going to be tricky because Texas is very, very red, as we know. He was also running as sort of a progressive Democrat. He lost to Ted Cruz.
Are we going to talk about Elizabeth Warren wanting the Electoral College to go away?
I think a lot of people want the Electoral College to go away. That's all.
Me too. Good job, Elizabeth.
So here's okay. So here's
sophomore?
All right. So this is
what does that mean?
Meaning he hasn't been around that long. So
okay. This is his sophomore year of high school.
Okay. So
hi, Ryan.
If you look really closely at at O'Rourke's policy proposals, he isn't completely in line with sort of the progressive wing of the party. So when you think of progressives in Washington, you're thinking of folks like Bernie Sanders, AOC, folks like that. Oh, sorry. Let me turn my...
God damn it.
Sorry.
We're running some kind of show or something.
I forget. He is on things like the economy and immigration. He's more sort of center-left.
What is
so he's not... You figure you've got right-wing...
Please understand. I know what this stuff means. This stuff... If you saw me last election, I pretty much know what this all means. I'm just asking for the people that don't know.
So you've got right-wing conservatives and you've got the left-wing liberals. He's sort of... He's more in the center. He leans left, but he's more in the center when it comes to some things like...
I'm not sure how to
and
fix
immigration,
the audio
which,
on YouTube.
Which, as far as the economy, that might not necessarily be a bad thing. Immigration could be a little tricky.
Is that better? I turned it up just a little. Because if I turn it up too loud, I...
You sure you don't want some? Oh my god. Can I put some of this in here?
looks disgusting. What you just did. You were trying to dip in my hole.
I wasn't trying to dip in your hole. But he's also he's very liberal. He's very leftist. Very very
pro people.
Well, when it comes to and is actually very kind of reactionary when it comes to things like marijuana and guns. So think pro legalizing marijuana and pro gun control.
Oh, is that why he's popular?
Probably. It did kind of, when he ran in for Senate in Texas, it did kind of bring out a whole bunch of more sort of liberal and left-wing folks in Texas, which is great because Texas is very hardcore right-wing, you know.
Let's go.
So the one of the problems is that a lot of the for 2020, a lot of the Democrats that are kind of throwing their name and their hat in the ring, they're more progressive. And with him being just sort of left of middle on a lot of things,
does that make him a better bet?
It's hard to say.
Does that make him who was it? It wasn't Bernie. God damn it. Can't remember their name. But
it's hard to say.
Does that make them more of a contender?
Could be, because if he's a little more left of middle and, you know, centrist on, you know, and sort of in the middle with some things, that may help him appeal to more right-wing folks.
Like, can he bring people over?
Right, and that's the thing, is can he convert people, essentially?
Mm-hmm.
Which he potentially could. I mean, the race in Texas was fairly close.
I mean, he didn't lose.
It wasn't right. It wasn't like a complete.
It wasn't like they said, "Oh, he's over here," and this person's way over here.
Right.
It was very close.
Okay. So one thing. Okay, so we're gonna go through a couple different platforms. So for healthcare.
Okay. I may not agree with all of this, but
we're not. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. This is what This is what he's about. It's not about what we agree with and what we don't agree with. We're just giving you the information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really like we're doing this not to sort of create a debate. It's just to inform.
Mm-hmm.
So, he is not in support of Medicare for all. A lot of the sort of establishment Democratic candidates. He's more on protecting the ACA and expanding Medicaid. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. The ACA...
Okay. Because I have to say it. Because when we listen to the podcast, we can't hear what he wrote.
Right.
Micah says Trump has a huge approval rating with Republicans, and I don't think Beto will gain much Republicans, to be honest. I think that is fairly. It depends on who you ask, actually, but in a whole, on average, he ain't doing so good.
Trump's approval rating is not awesome. It's really not.
And I'm not trying to argue by any means or debate it, but he led middle America to believe that he was going to take care of them, and he still hasn't.
After tax season, everybody's like, what the fuck?
I mean, have you looked at your taxes? Did you see any difference? Did you think that, thanks, Mr. Trump? Or did you go, oh, at all, back to Beto?
So if you look on Beto's website, it says that he supports creating a public option and achieving universal healthcare coverage, but there's no actual, like, plan. There's no, like, here's how I would do that. Here's what, you know. And he hasn't said anything about being in support of Medicare for all, but expanding Medicaid is good. And the Affordable Care Act, if implemented, they're still working on it. It's still a work in progress. But the Affordable Care Act is it's universal health care.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not Medicare for all. But he hasn't, like, he's not really supporting any of the popular plans that kind of lay out a universal healthcare thing, and hasn't really laid out a plan on how he would achieve it.
Which could lead to some loss of credibility.
Right.
With
like, that's fine. Like, if you say that, you are for this, or that you're about creating public option, achieving universal healthcare, awesome. But I need to see what your plans are. How would you like to do that?
I hope that's something that he's working on.
That would be good.
Because I think that especially since a lot of people that show up to the polls are older, he needs to quote from poll released today: Republicans continue to give the president strong support, with 82% approving of him and 18% disapproving of him.
See, the problem with those polls, though,
The Hill,
like, I don't know where they get those numbers, because I can look up something else that says that his approval rating is in the shithouse. So,
and he's just talking about Republicans. That, which is interesting, because this whole wall debate has created. There's a lot of Republicans that I've seen on social media that say they don't want this to go any further. Like, it depends on who does the poll.
Right.
That's correct. And a lot of those polls are open to interpretation. I will tell you that. They probably called 50 people and said, 82% of them. Right.
And 82% of how many people is the thing? What's the
sample?
So it's, yeah. Okay, so immigration.
Oh, we know about this.
When it comes to immigration, which has always been a big deal here in Arizona, which I think Arizona's kind of split down the middle when it comes to when it comes to immigration. Like, we have, because we're a red state, we have a lot of people that are like, no, we don't want them here. And then we have the people that are trying to get rid of the detention centers and things like that. So it's...
Worst thing that I heard today is that Scott listens to KTAR in the car. And do you know who they have on every Wednesday? Jan Brewer calls in. And I can't tell if she's drinking while she's on the radio.
Oh my god, I bet she
or if she's had a fifth.
Oh my god, she probably is.
Or she's, she drinking like this and
trying to stay fucking relevant. Oh my god.
Anyway, so she was on the radio and she was saying, and it's in relevance to this. She's talking about, why don't they go back to Mexico? Why do they even need to be over here? And why do they think they can make a better life over here?
Oh my god.
And I'm like, you do realize that this place that we're in,
you're so fucking stupid,
used to be just so diverse and so spectacular. When did we become so white? And why did it being so white become so important? Somebody tell me.
I'll tell you later when you need to know.
Or do you go to
I have to go to this week's meeting. I'll bring it up. I'll let you know what they say.
Excuse me. The black person I work with is getting inquisitive.
They're asking questions.
And said something, and then she said something like,
I gave half of the actual ice cream to Felicia.
And then she said something like, why won't Mexico do something about this? I'm like,
fucking Christ.
What are you?
Dumb.
Does Europe send U.S. citizens back? I feel like this is just us having weird problems because we got too wild about it.
Okay, so as far as immigration, this is where he's kind of more center. He's still center left, but he's still more center. He won't say anything like abolish ICE as any sort of policy position. He proposes some liberal reforms, but is not in favor of transformational change. Which...
Change? This is the 1950s.
Right,
If this was the 1950s, this show would not exist.
He does oppose the border wall, but I mean, that's a really easy stance for someone to take because it's probably never gonna happen. Like,
Because
he's gonna fucking try, but it's not gonna happen.
he lives in Texas. He knows how this works.
So,
and there are walls in some parts of Texas.
He says things like investment in talent of our country and ensure a fair path to citizenship for those inspired by the opportunity and ideals that we present to the rest of the world.
Is this the thing he got in trouble for saying?
Kind of. It's one of those things where it sounds like he's it's that that's that conservative immigration narrative about in order to come here you must have something to offer. It's a kind of a nationalist way of thinking. Which, okay, not everybody. It shouldn't have to be okay. Well, let me see your resume.
Please, there are people that live here that I want to ship to Mexico. Okay.
It's the whole these people are stealing our jobs. No, they're not stealing the jobs. They're doing the jobs that you don't fucking want to do. I don't see white people out there picking vegetables.
Personal note: if I see you post on Facebook that you need a job, and I post a job that I think is relative to what you do, and then you say, "Oh, I don't want to do that," I'm gonna say, "Fuck you," and leave you alone. So, you're welcome.
And right. So the jobs that you don't want to do because you're too proud or whatever the fuck, those are the jobs that the people that are coming here are doing.
You're welcome.
So they're not taking your fucking jobs. Just saying.
I mean, you don't even like to step outside and do your own lawn, so.
Right. Right. You won't even cut your own grass, but
it's their fault. It's their fault.
It's fine.
Uh-huh.
All right. So
women's health.
We're okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. Women's health.
Is that gonna come back this year?
Yeah. He actually just came out. I believe it was today. Oh my god.
Come on up.
I think it was today. There was an article that was posted where they were talking about women's reproductive rights and late term abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, it's not my body, it's not my choice, and I would need to trust that she's making the right decision for her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. He's like, when it comes to like women's health and women's reproductive rights and things like that, he's very much pro Planned Parenthood. He says that one of his goals is ensuring that a woman's right to choose is not compromised by limited access to safe and legal abortion services or family planning help. He also supports policies that guarantee a woman's access to birth control and emergency contraception.
Here we go. This is where I still feel it.
As a congressman, I'm just going to throw this out there, he has a 100% approval rating from the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. So when it comes to...
that might be good for him when he runs, because
right,
if you like to support their...
So, yeah, so as far as like women's health and women's reproductive rights, he's very...
I look forward to the day when we don't have to vote on a woman's vagina and what she does.
What about a man's vagina? What am I supposed to do?
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Everybody forgets.
I mean,
I'm a man, though, so what I do with my vagina is fine.
Yeah, see, that's the part that doesn't make sense. Do we tell people, your penis should not be in a woman? If I ever see your penis in another woman, we're cutting it off.
Well, it's like the signs that say, if pregnancy is God's will, so is, not being able to get it up, so stop funding Viagra. Same thing.
But we promote men's sexuality better.
Oh, yeah, we do. It's okay. You go ahead and you do.
But as soon as a woman comes out and says she's sexual, it's like, put that away. Stop it. You're just a whore.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. You see how that works? Isn't that weird?
I feel that bullshit double standard. I can't believe we're still dealing with this shit now. I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Women's,
You did this.
Or feminine hygiene products like pads and tampons get a luxury tax on them. Did you know that?
There's not no luxury.
It's
like your vagina.
It's like a pink tax. They get an extra tax tagged onto them.
I can't.
Yeah.
Why did you
ridiculous.
tell me that?
Uh-huh.
Why can't we just let women be?
Fucking ridiculous. For something they have no control over.
And then if we started to stop it, then they wonder why the population's going down.
Like,
they don't realize this is like
people with vaginas have no control.
Oh my god, I have to read that.
Like, ugh.
I figure I don't have a vagina, so I don't have many opinions on what someone with one can or cannot do with theirs, says Dean. You know what, Dean? I agree. I don't know why people are so obsessed with telling women what to do.
You know? All right, let's see. Jobs and the economy. So this is...
How is he about this? I haven't looked at this part.
So when it comes to jobs and the economy, he kind of... this is where he's been very kind of good with... It's tricky. So he tries to kind of marry a pragmatic view that will appeal to moderates while throwing in some progressive ideas at the same time. So again, if you look at his website, he kind of echoes the moderate Republican fascination with apprenticeship programs, and he uses things like economic growth when talking about the infrastructure of improvements. But he's in favor of the progressive policy of rural broadband expansion and wants to expand family leave. So, like, he wants to be able basically to... let me find it. I'll make sure I get the right...
What is rural?
That's what I'm making sure I have the
I'm
appropriate...
myself this time, because I don't know what the fuck that is. I feel like we got so wrapped up in being a modern society, we forgot about being industrial. So I feel like that is okay in some way, but I feel like we need to stop pushing that you can't have a job. You can't have a job without going to college. I strongly encourage people to go to college. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to think about that.
So, all right, real quick about the rural broadband expansion. So a little bit on that. In an article from February 14th of this year, 4 U.S. senators introduced legislation this week that would create a dedicated office for rural broadband expansion inside the Federal Communications Commission. The bill arrives as the FCC plans to revise its national map of high-speed internet coverage as multiple states have created their own broadband offices.
So giving rural America internet.
For education, for jobs, for medicine, broadband is really essential in helping rural communities thrive today. Creating a new office of rural broadband will create new focus at FCC on making sure every home and business can get online. So in the areas where...
like the country.
Right, way out in the, farmland and things like that where internet is still sketchy, what they're trying to do is they're trying to expand high-speed internet, basically, because doctor's office, like I said, doctor's offices need it for shit. And it opens...
last time I went to the doctor, they just scanned, like, my little card.
Right.
All my
and it opens more doors in terms of jobs. It opens more doors in terms of everything. So...
whoever wrote that sentence, that's horrible.
It is.
You put... That's why I was confused, because I was like, why does the internet have anything to do with your family leave?
Right, and then, that's that. And then with the... there should be a comment in there or something. And then family leave, obviously, we're talking about...
including fathers on maternity leave.
Things like that, right.
Paternity leave.
So, with economic... He is looking for, he focuses on sort of lowering the barrier to entry for small businesses, and it's sort of a centrist code for deregulation. He says he hopes to promote policies that encourage companies to focus on returning investments back to their consumer, their employees, and to the community.
Which means lower prices.
It sounds like tax cuts, but again, that's not super progressive. Like, that's kind of...
Can we deal
when it comes to
like as a go-to?
Like when it comes to small businesses, I mean, it's not. That's kind of a. Most Democrats are going to be about, tax breaks for small businesses. So that's not really.
I mean, I appreciate it.
Right, but it's not. It's not. It's not like a new.
Mass Mutual expanded theirs this year by giving fathers leave for newborn children or adoption, 8 weeks paid, as well as leave for trans surgeries. Oh, wow!
Yeah.
We need to get you a new job.
I'm fine.
Oh, your job supports.
I'm like, I'm fine. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of the kind of things that are going to be, I think, heavy on the ballot are things like, as far as, you know, the social aspects are going to be things like that. Okay, so in terms of education, his education policy is kind of more uniformly progressive, but doesn't really say much.
He's not saying anything new.
Right. Doesn't say anything really new, and doesn't really have any sort of a real sort of clear vision when it comes to student loans.
But one thing that I do agree with is if he does get elected and that says, you see what that says?
Yeah.
Free public college.
Right.
If he
Right.
gets it on, I'm going to be sitting right here.
Yeah.
Where do I press my enter
button? You know, he's on board with things like, you know, public dollars not going to private education, increasing school funding in more low-income areas, protecting teacher retirement because teachers can't fucking retire ever. Like, they just work until they drop. You know, and
65.
de-emphasizing standard testing. So, you know, that's sort of at the core of his education policy, which again is nothing really new, nothing really like woo.
It's stuff that we've been doing for years. I work in education. This is stuff that we've been doing for years, except for the free public college. That is the only thing that I see out of this that we already do.
And when it comes to but here's the thing though, is that he doesn't say anything about free public college, and his student loan policies are kind of he kind of like one of the things that he says is he wants to allow Texans who commit to working in in-demand fields a chance to graduate debt-free.
Just Texans?
Right. He wants to, one of the things he said in regards to student loans, he wants to control the inflation of student loans rather than changing the system completely, which...
Isn't that controlling the interest rate?
You're right. But, right.
He's not the Federal Reserve.
There are some things. There are programs in place where if you
Is Sally Mae
if you get a degree and then work for 10 years in a nonprofit, then your loans are forgiven. But you have to get the degree and you have to find a nonprofit to work for. You have to work for 10 years.
You mean I could have my degree paid for?
Mm-hmm. You have to work in a nonprofit for 10 years, though.
Technically.
But, so, I mean, his policies on education are just sort of, like, there's nothing that hasn't been said, and as far as things like student loans and stuff, there's not really...
I'm going to be looking for really strong...
I would like to go back to school, and I would like to not end up in ridiculous debt, so...
I've been trying, and all I can tell you is filling out this scholarship paperwork has been tedious.
Yeah.
But I can't believe the amount that I'm going to have to pay. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's not...
And I don't want to be broke when I get done with school, though.
We have, in terms of education and in terms of our citizens, we have a really poor, like...
And you know why people don't go to school? Because they can't afford it.
They can't afford it, but there are so many countries that their tax rates are higher, but they have free higher education for their citizens.
It's because you're paying it throughout your life. Do we need to go through this one? We kind of touched on it.
No, we kind of, yeah. So, let's see. Drugs and crime. So, like I said, he's very sort of progressive when it comes to legalizing things like marijuana. He actually says that legalizing marijuana would actually is sort of a path to decrease gang violence, which, I don't know.
There's a report on how much weed they seized in the last year. And I thought to myself, oh, if that shit was legal.
But...
We're talking billions of dollars.
Right.
In
but
tax money.
Then again, there's already a bunch of states that have legalized weed. So it's not... Like, his stance on legalizing weed at this point is sort of like, okay, so you'll make it a federal thing as opposed to state by state. Like, it's...
And they can actually... what he needs to focus on is when you legalize weed, to make the banks accept the money.
Right.
Because they legalized weed in these areas, and now some of the banks won't take their money. They have to, like, deal everything in cash.
Which is fucking dumb. Like,
I watched a documentary on
just
that.
Legalize it, tax it like you would cigarettes or alcohol
All I can say is
or whatever.
Colorado is doing well and promoting education throughout their state.
Funny, right? And as far as like criminal justice reform, he is for eliminating private and for-profit prisons, bringing an end to mandatory sentencing, and ending like a cash bail, but doesn't really say anything about some of the institutional issues that get brought up by things like groups like Black Lives Matter and things like that. So it's kind of like
police groups,
right? So you know, he says he's for things, but again, not really dealing with some of the more bigger issues when it comes to like justice reform and criminal.
Can we get money for body cams and all?
And make sure they're on.
Yeah, make it mandatory.
Let's see. Gun control supports background checks for all gun sales. Closing the gun show loophole, which the gun show loophole is fucking dumb.
What does that mean? What?
You don't need a background check.
You just go to a gun show.
You just go to a gun show. Yeah. Did you see the meme that I posted about Germany? No. When or not Germany, sorry, Australia. After the shooting at the mosque, they have now banned assault rifles. You have to go through a full background check. Blah 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 blah. 2 days after the shooting. 2 days.
Well, see, and I think Australia has like a huge gun control.
Most countries do.
I mean, not to be rude, that's why those people decided to run people over with vans because they couldn't get it.
Right.
They just said,
but yeah,
back.
In 2 days, they've cracked down, and they're like, no, we're not doing this again.
But that's being proactive. Why haven't we done anything?
And then the bottom of the meme was like, oh my god, have they even tried thoughts and prayers?
Oh my god, that's awful. I just want you guys to know, to think about that in upcoming elections, the Parkland kids are now 18.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are 19 and 20.
Mm-hmm. So they should be able to get on there.
Some of them are running for office soon.
Let's see.
Not president, but maybe one day.
So he doesn't really say anything in terms of like a bold progressive position when it comes to gun control. Like he sort of references talking about some of the most deadly assault rifles and stuff, but he hasn't really said anything.
I feel
in writing about assault weapons.
He's afraid to take a stance because this country is very weird about their guns.
Right.
Don't tell me I can't shoot a gun. Nobody's saying that. We're saying those people that haven't bought a gun before or are weird or just getting out of prison should not be buying guns.
He kind of plays both sides too, where while he was on the campaign trail before, he would talk about how he's a gun owner, but the NRA gives him an F rating, so he tries to play both sides.
Not so good.
Right. So I don't think, just from my personal opinion, I think he's too sort of meh on things to be any sort of contender in 2020.
But there's sensation.
I think that our top candidates in 2020 are probably going to end up being more radical. I think they're going to end up having bigger ideas and more like
innovation.
Right, like they're going to have very specific ideas. They're going to have very much, this is what I want to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to change things. I think that I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's experienced enough. And
wait, well, you can't say that. You can't say that. Because we just had this dude from Hollywood just up and...
Yeah, and look what he's fucking doing. He's not experienced enough either. Obviously. So yeah, I don't think if Beto were to run, I think people would be like, oh my god, let's vote for the cute, hot, young dude. And it's like, People need to really look at the big picture. They really need to look at his policies and where he stands on things. I think he's
or is it too
sort
early
of,
in his campaign to decide on?
It might be, but just based on kind of the platforms that he ran and some of the things that are he
already emotional,
right? Like I think that he needs to be with a lot of things. I think he needs to take a firmer stand and be like, "This is what we're doing. This is what I want to do. This is how we're gonna do it." I don't think with this election that you can afford to be sort of wishy-washy on things. I think that.
Well, that's why we're doing this show, because we want you to be a little bit, not a little bit. We want you to be informed and know that. Have you guys discussed Beto already? Yes, we're just wrapping up with. Beto.
Yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock,
and we're barely getting to.
We'll have to do it. I think we'll have to do it next time. Yeah,
but that took a lot because we have to go through and. I mean, this is stuff that you should do too. You should dissect every person that says they're going to do it. Like, I think that Cory Booker is sensationalized, and I kind of support him, but when I say I kind of support him, doesn't mean I don't support him. It means that I still have to do my homework and know why I'm voting for that person. Just like when we said, oh, I'm voting for Hillary, or I'm voting for Bernie. The reasons had to be there. I wasn't just going to go vote for Hillary because we need not have Trump. Though that was a very good reason.
that was a big motivator, but
I I even went for I even looked at some of the Green Party and thought, oh my gosh, they would even be better. But you have to dive deep, and sometimes people change historically throughout time. Not saying that people that are once voted for something aren't going to vote for it again, but if they seem to change for good, and not only change for the money or for the political stance, or you have to look at those things. And if you interpret it as, oh, they stopped supporting gun control because they were getting a $50,000 check from the NRA, then you kind of have to go, oh, okay. That's why sometimes those ads come out that are just
I guess
gushing them out.
In the first 24 hours, Beto managed to raise more money than Bernie. But again...
But he's very sensationalized now.
He is, and I swear it's people like, oh my god, let's vote for the young hot dude. I think that's a lot. Honestly, I think that's a lot of it.
And we have to be careful because, as stupid as he seems, Trump is very good at marketing. And he knows how to capture that audience. Right.
So that's,
There's people that grew up with him in the 80s. There's people that grew up with him was he in the 70s? No, the 90s. And I think that carried on too, that they were like, okay, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He was on TV and gave us financial advice that turned out to be false. But we just need to. I think Beto could be a very good candidate if he cleaned up his act. Like if he cleaned up and was more specific about the things that he stood by.
Come in with a plan.
Because that was one of the things that I looked for, like in the primaries when I was voting for people. If it seemed that they had some kind of clue, because you can choose who you wanted, but if it seemed like they had some kind of clue, that gave me like the next step. Okay, what do I like about this? What don't I like about this? And then moving on from there. But that y'all need to do your homework, and it starts right now though. It doesn't start like the week that you're trying to vote.
So we're still gonna keep covering.
So that sorry, we only got to one today.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of information.
I just want to put our picture up here.
Okay. So next time we do this, we're going to talk about Kamala Harris.
Hashtag she's not Michelle.
She's an interesting one because her past is, but she in some ways she may have redeemed herself. I don't know.
Hashtag where's Michelle?
So she'll be who we cover next. But yeah, what do you got coming up, Felicia?
Ooh.
Go to the thing.
I did not update this one. I have a lot of stuff coming up, but I don't think I put it on here. I didn't put it on here. So, where are we? You leave for nationals on the 26th.
I have a show tomorrow night at Stacy's. It was last minute. But I can use cash for, travel expenses and things. So tomorrow night at Stacy's, I'll be there with Blake Riley and a bunch of the Kings. It's usually a fun show. Come on out.
Is this New Kings on the ball?
I don't know if it's New Kings or if it's one of the
Kings Corner.
Something. I have no idea. And then Saturday, I am with LC at Cruisin' 7th. Sunday, I will be at the Pride pageant, but I'm not performing or anything because nobody ever asked me when it comes to Pride. But I'll be there.
Just in time. Sorry, we got distracted by something else.
Yeah. That's and then I leave for nationals next Tuesday. And I will be back on the 1st.
Hopefully with the fucking crown.
We'll see.
So coming up, I don't have anything, and as soon as I say that, somebody's gonna send me a message that says, "Did you forget about us?" Anyway, and just on April 12th, we will be doing cat bingo. Not sure what the theme is, but it looks like at this point grilled cheese day. I'm not sure how we're gonna celebrate that with cats everywhere. Anyway, and then on April 19th, we have Party Like a Queen. I think that's the name of it, and it's a disco dance party with pop-up performances all night long, and we'll be doing a photo booth and something else. There's 3 things. By the time the event happens, hopefully I'll have a better understanding of what's going on. And then on the 20th of April, we are reading to the children.
It'll be at Bookman's in Mesa on April 20th. So anybody that's got kids and stuff, bring them on down. Yeah.
Adults are welcome too.
Adults are welcome too.
Adults.
So yeah, all right.
I think a lot of people that have just arrived usually watch this show, but I think it's my wig that is bringing.
I don't know what it is. So if you guys are around, come to Stacy's tomorrow night. I'd be happy to see you, and happy to see you guys on Saturday as well. It's my last 2 performances before I hit the national stage. So yeah.
Visa gift cards?
Okay.
No. April 12th, cat bingo, not April 19th.
April 12th.
April 19th is the dance party.
It's the disco thing.
Which I'm already
Anyway.
Shit.
All right.
I feel like I was born in the wrong era. I have way too many disco outfits. Just by looking in that closet, you can see them. Anyway.
I don't know. I see like 80s housewife.
That one too.
Dress.
Yeah, that's over there too. Anyway, so next week joining me is Miss Cruisin' 7th. She also has a fundraiser tonight, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it's Christina Fatal Christian who will be joining me as a special guest and co-host.
I won't be here. I'm gonna try to tune in if I can, but I don't know. We have the Sash and Crown party that night.
I'm very sad that I'm not going.
I'm sad you're not going to.
Giving people free haircuts.
Right.
You guys have no clue
my God.
about the talents that are hidden inside of this person you see before you. Because during nationals, I become like a housekeeper, a cook, a hairstylist, a stoner, not a stoner, but a stoner. What else? Special guest on stage.
Yeah.
A jewelry connoisseur.
Right. All the things.
So, that's the stuff that I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss doing all of the things, like cooking ramen at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then adding beef or ham to it. Oh, you don't know nothing about that. We did things.
Oh my god.
So we also, I'm not sure when Sir Jet is going to join
at some
us.
point.
I feel like he just used me for a free promo.
Could be.
I know that Logan wants to join us.
Cool.
He is multi-talented. We also have entertainer, performer, and multi-talented musician.
Katie Cage.
Katie Cage.
She's fucking fantastic.
And she just want her rhythm.
Right. We'd like to thank our sponsors, ShellyLoveCreative.com, WigsOfAkind.com, and TheBurlyBarbers.com. Go find all of them for things like photography needs, hair, and
What hair?
to get your hair done.
What hair?
I'm going to go to the Burly Barber this weekend and get myself all prettied up.
Marissa, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's going to be the new one that she won't let go of.
I mean, it's in
You
eyesight.
had to-
No,
you had
it's
to-
in eyesight. That means it's not put away yet.
Oh,
It may be back
Jesus
next week
Christ.
because I can't let things go.
And of course, special thank you to Brienne. I mixed the two.
Thanks to all our Patreon supporters like Brandon McGill, Leanne Dunton, and Carrie and Corey McClellan, Allison and Joan for supporting us on Patreon. Support us at patreon.com/letshaveafefe. You can contact me or Freddy if you have... Actually, we're looking for ideas for videos. I have to finish editing the ones that are still on my computer.
Any extras you want to see? Any fun stuff like
We
that?
did hear that everybody wants a mukbang, so I mean, if you subscribe to our Patreon, there you have it. You'll have your mukbang. Be sure to like this episode, subscribe, and share it with all your friends, enemies, and Trump supporters, especially this episode. Tell them to subscribe. I don't understand.
You can find us as a podcast too. Listen to us on the way to work or as you work or on the way home. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you find your podcast.
Stitcher, I heard we're on.
Stitcher, I've got us on Stitcher. Yeah. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch.
Special thanks to all of you who watch live and on the replay. I am tired. I am worn like a bad slipper. We will see you next week. You won't see him though.
I will not be here next week.
Just follow him on Facebook because that's how I get all my deets. Because he forgets there's an outside world here. Just post everything on Facebook. Yeah. Anyway, this has been Let's Have a Fefe and good.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Or she will, anyway.